Greetings and welcome back to the lab. I've been away for a while. I've been very busy between family and prepping things for the lab, so it's time for an update. Let's jump right into it. I got projects I've been working on, trying to get stuff coming in time to be able to release videos on a more regular basis. So let's take a look at the first one, which is actually for my niece. This one is, she just turned 16 and she's going to be driving before too long. Well, she is driving, but she may have a car before too long. And I thought, keychain. So, should it be pink? Should it be white? And how do I put all the pieces together here? That's one more piece. And rather than just revealing her name, I'm going to have a test version here. But the idea is it's going to be pink. It's going to have a test piece that's going to fit just inside like that. The holes need to line up, and I made them 5mm, which will conveniently line up with a 5mm LED. This is mostly electronics channel here, but we're doing a lot of 3D printing lately, so I can do that where I can line them up, and I can get it down in there, and hopefully you kind of get the idea. This will snap in, and I'll glue it down, snapped in and lined up, and then this piece will go on the top. Now it's going to look a little bit better than this, but I'll give you a quick sort of preview of what it's going to look like. Something like this. That little gap there will disappear once it's all pushed in. What I'm afraid of here is if I push it in right now to show it to you, that'll be it. I won't be able to get it back out. So the other thing to show you is how I plan to make this a little bit better. I printed this one along with the one with her name. I printed this at a lower quality, hers at a higher quality. And I wanted to show you my technique where I take a file at the right, well, that's close enough. The idea is if I print it in pink, and I painted it this sort of blush pink is what they call it, the very light pink, and that's what she likes. And then what I can do, since it's been painted, is I can file off. This is not going to be the best demonstration. I'm going to do it kind of quickly here. But if I now zoom in on this, you might be able to see that the letters are white on this light pink background. Now, if I have it printed in a darker pink, when I file off the content of the letters at the top here, what I'm going to end up is revealing whatever's below. So that'll be a darker pink on a lighter pink. So that's the idea with this one. And I hope you kind of like it. And I'd be perfectly willing to put the files up on Thingiverse. The only thing is changing the name on there from test to whatever name you want to put and getting the sizing right so it all fits together, because this has like a font size of, well, let's just say it's 10. And if you want more letters, you're going to have to go down to 8 or 6 or something like that. If you want to change the font, you'll be able to change the font. So Thingiverse does allow for a configurable download, configurable 3D render that you can then download and print. So I can set that up. But before I go through all that effort, I just want to know, is anybody actually interested in this? This was something I wanted to do, and now I've got all the pieces I need to do this. So let me know in the comments, and I will post those files on my Thingiverse and put a link in the description. So that's got that one. Next, I have this, which I just happened to print in pink, and still has some stuff to come off of it. I got to file it down a little bit, but the idea here is, because I am now buying spray paint to paint my 3D models, the larger ones. Smaller ones, you're going to need a fine paintbrush, and I'm really no good at that, but this is for spray paint cans. The idea being you can stick the spray paint can in here, It'll land on here. I've got some bolts, which I'm going to show you in a moment, and we'll try and do a quick assembly of this. There's also a hole here, so you can actually mount this onto a wall. Let's see if I've got something I can demonstrate as a wall. Well, you're just going to have to use your imagination. Here's my roll of solder, and if that's the wall, you're just going to screw it right onto the wall there. That's the idea with this. Once I verify that this is going to work, I can have more of them made. Speaking of having things made, let's move on to some stuff I need to unbox. First, we'll start with this one, which just came in. And this has got a few things. Yeah, I didn't do very good at that, did I? All right. There should be a bunch of different things in here. Hopefully none of them with my name and address showing. It seems like there would be one more. Yeah. Okay. We'll order these in whatever order, and we'll open them in whatever order, and I'll show you what they're for, or I'll tell you what they're for. Let's get this one open. I can see that some of them do have my name on them, my address, potentially, so I'm going to be cautious here. We got bag in a bag, which is another bag, and heavy, and I think I know what that is. Not real heavy, just one of the heavier ones in the whole thing. Yep, it's nickel strip. And so this is going to be for some upcoming projects, which I can show you a quick preview of. This is not the mystery box. You'll see the mystery box in a moment. This one is actually a power bank, and this is an earlier prototype because I wanted to get the cutouts here right, and I got them in much better shape, and now I have a new idea for a design for this, but I like the idea that this is just a cube, and it's got some heft to it because it's got a couple of batteries in it, a couple of 18350 batteries, and I want to make it a more universal design. There's also supposed to be not a cutout, but a thin spot here so that when you charge it, let me grab the other. When you charge it, you will see a light, if it can overcome the studio lights here. Hopefully you can see that. So that is, now it's fully charged, so that's why it's not blinking yet. But we'll get back to that soon. But the nickel strip is for getting the batteries wired together. So that's what that's there for. Rather large. Following the theme of bag in a bag in a bag, we've got multiple bags inside this one. So let's see what these turn out to be. Get rid of some garbage here, get it out of the way. Not really garbage, but okay. Wow, that's a lot of packing for the bolts that are going to go with the rattle can mount. So put that aside for a moment. We're going to get rid of some more packaging. Let's get this one open. Granted, I'm kind of rushing here, but I don't want to make this a really long video. And yep. So I think I ordered 20 of them, and these are 10 each. So that's just how things ship sometimes. And we're missing one ingredient for this, which might be this bag here. I'd say I need a sharper knife, but the last thing I need to do is cut myself because I'm on blood thinners. If you have any idea, you'll know why I don't want to do that. Okay. So here is what appears to be a bunch of nuts that would match those bolts. But why is there another bag inside here? Aha! There should be a few of these. There's 5 of them. That's what I was expecting. Actually, oddly enough, the listing is like the title is like the brand is 8 pieces and the quantity is 5 pieces. That's kind of an odd way of doing things. But since we pulled out the battery banks, I should be able to just plug this in. Oh, lovely. They're fast changing. I was kind of hoping they would be slower than that. But at least they work. So I will, at this point, have put up a warning about flashing. Okay, and that said, now I'm going to pull it out and tell you it's safe to look back this way again. So they were fast flashing. That's what I got on that. We got one more thing here. I'm trying to remember what else I ordered. Oh, I know what this is. Yeah. This is random colors of a different kind of LED light, or USB LED light. Let's see if I can get this open quickly. Thing is, I've been doing all of these projects with lighting and the rest of that, and there's more to come actually on that in this very episode. But I wanted to show you what this would look like. Now, this one shouldn't be a flash warning. And there we go. We've got a light that I can put on the edge of a desk or something like that and have some light to work with. So I'm going to leave that on a minute. Let's see. I've got an orange. I've got a white. I've got green. I've got another orange and another orange. Interesting. Am I looking at that? Oh, this is more red. My apologies. All right. We got these. Let me put these aside and these aside. And that brings us to a little bit bigger event. This one, well, not so much a big event, but it's probably the next project that I'm going to be publishing here is about this particular thing that requires a couple of things that you're going to have made, or in one case, if you have a 3D printer, then you can download the files and get this one. But if you need the PCB for it, then you're going to want this here. So this goes to what I'm referring to as the mystery box. And this is the prototype of the mystery box. And I can turn it around and you can see it. And the reason I call it a mystery box, well, what do you think it is? That's the mystery. It's a conversation starter. You put it somewhere where somebody might see it and go, well, what does that thing do? And the answer to that is, and I'm going to have to, there's a hidden switch. And I'm going to have to try each side until I get it. It's not the third one. There it is. Now, for this one, I'm going to have to turn off the studio lights so you can see it a little bit better. Oops, did I turn it off? Nope, there it is. It lights up and it changes colors. Now, this is actually red, green, and blue, but because the cover here is yellow, it's filtering out the blue. So all you're seeing is the red and the green. I wanted to make it with a white cover, but once I got the prototype working, it made more sense for me to have them sent off for manufacturing. I'm trying not to take too much advantage of the facility where I get to do free 3D printing. If I could do tons and tons of 3D printing, I could make everything I want to make. I could make multiples of everything I want to make. And for that matter, then I could turn around and sell them. That's just not really fair. It's a grant-funded program, and I don't want them to lose the grant. And I like having that opportunity to get to a 3D printer until I get one of my own. So that is what this thing does. I'm going to turn the lights back on. And I'm just going to put it over here. And let's start opening stuff up. This is the circuit board that goes inside. Now, this actually, I did this as a more sort of generic circuit board. I may come up with variations on this, but the sizing is correct, so I can use it for a prototype. And if I don't like how it works, I can redesign the circuit board and have more of them made. The plan will be to have all of these files for all of these available for download for free. If you like the ideas that I come up with and you want to support the channel, then either you can use Buy Me a Coffee or, I don't know, somehow get me a coupon to some place to do the 3D printing. There's various different ways you can support me. We'll work all of that out later. My intention is to get this up and running. And actually, yep, there's the easy open part. Always seems to mess with me. It's like the seal quit, so now I gotta cut in maybe along the side here. Yeah, I felt it release there, so now I should be able to get it open. Okay, 5 of these for the mystery box, and you can see if I bring that back in that this will fit very neatly within the borders of that box and give me a 4x4 grid for my lights. If I put RGB LEDs into each one of these LED marks here, and I apply the voltage to it there's resistors in here, and the idea actually, I designed this so that I could make this not only a flashing light thing, but I could actually make it a flashlight or like a camping light kind of thing. So you could, when it's charged, and I haven't mentioned how to charge it yet, because if you look, there's no obvious charge port for it, and you'll have to stay tuned to that video to see how I managed to charge it. But when it's charged, if I set this up with 4 resistors wired in parallel, it effectively makes it like one resistor. That means that I can pump more current through that resistor to power all of these LEDs at the same time. So mostly that would be for putting a bunch of white LEDs, or if you want red LEDs, or however you want to do it, or green LEDs, and it could be put it under the bed and it'll make your bed glow. I don't know. Different ideas. You know, it's up to you kind of what you want to do with these projects. But that is the circuit board. Oops, I just turned that off. This should be the 3D prints. And with a mystery or surprise box, I figured there could also be another surprise. Plus, it's a little bit cheaper. Is that this is the top and the bottom. If you look at this, this is the top, this is the bottom. The bottom is the chamber that actually has the batteries in it. And the top is just blank. Yeah, just double checking. Now, the thing is, if you want the top to light up, you want a very light color. And you got to keep in mind the filtering properties of colored plastic. So I wanted that one specifically to be white. And the bottom, I allowed it to be a mystery color. When you order from this company, they have an option called X resin, which is basically leftover resin from other projects that they were printing out that day. And so you get whatever they choose in terms of color. So I should have at least one in white. And it's starting to look like I might have both in white, which is going to make this interesting. Yep, they're both white and taped together, making it a bit more complicated. There we go. There's the 2 pieces. This is the battery box. And off on the side of the battery box should be, yep, there's a little relief right here where we're going to put the switch. And I'm going to leave that little indent on the bottom as a thing that you can try and figure out what that's for. But that is ultimately how we end up charging. These two should, in theory, just snap together. Oh, wow. They go together really easily. Okay, that might be a slight problem, actually. The fact that they go together so easily. Dimensionally, they're slightly different. I might have to figure out if that's an issue or not, or if I can just glue it together when I'm done. Because this was printed at a lower quality and done with PLA. And as such, it actually makes it, because it's dimensionally off by just a little bit, it's a really tight fit. I can't just pull this apart like I can with this one here. Once I put it together, pull it back apart. So I'm probably going to have to glue this together. But once you've got all the guts in there, you can have the circuit board sitting right on top, and then this should still fit conveniently on there. So if you want to see more of this project, let me know in the comments, and I will get this one up fairly soon, along with all the parts that parts list and all the files you're going to need to be able to print this for yourself. At this point, I'm starting to think maybe it would be better to suggest printing it in PLA instead of resin, or you're going to have to slightly change the dimensions so this is a tighter fit. Literally knock it down by 0.5 millimeter, something like that. So let me put that aside. That leaves us with this project here and a video that's already getting a bit too long. So that should give you an idea of all this stuff that's coming in, and that I've got a bunch of videos coming up to do assembly on a bunch of things. Maybe I'll make this an assembly video just simply because it's a lot of fiddliness to get that together. And then that way I can also put up the files associated with that video. So each project will have its own set of files and its own video. That is the plan. That is where I've been for the last couple of months. The rocket project, ultimately what happened with the rocket project was I had some issues with the electronics, and I had to try and simplify it to figure out what was going wrong with the electronics. And that is ultimately what ended up becoming the mystery box here and some other stuff that I'm working on. The battery banks is like I wanted to make sure I was working with the batteries correctly. So this came together for that. And so a lot of this is all connected, and the rocket will come back. I've done some other interesting sort of things with it. Let me see if I can. This is kind of the current model of it with, it's even flashing right now. I've given it I kept looking at other rockets that people have come up with, and I decided we should also have an option for a more extended cone. Then it looks a little bit more like so many of the toy rockets that are out there. So that, and then while I was at it trying to figure everything else out, I made this one, which if you look at it very carefully, let's see if I can demonstrate here. If you look through, there are holes in this top. And when this top goes on and this circuit board lights up, let's see if I can get it to light up again. There it goes. Yeah, the battery's almost dead in here. So when that lights up, it'll shine light through those holes and onto the ceiling, which is another project I wanted to do. There's also, there's more coming. So I've really been busy. While it looks like I've just disappeared for a couple of months, sometimes that happens. You run into a problem and you try and figure out how to deal with it. And I think I got all the bugs worked out. And in the process, I came up with more projects. So there you go. That's where I've been for the last couple of months. Thank you so much for watching. If you stuck through this far, really, thank you. I'll try and edit this down a little bit, but that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.